like many of you all, we've been implementing Canvas the last couple of years, and actually we're just kind of going to tell our story from something we learned last year at Instructure Con. We went to a session last year at this conference about badging, and we, kind of made us curious about, maybe we could do that at our district, because one of our challenges, and that's kind of what we start off with in our first slide, and I saw this at a conference and I thought, man, this is perfect for what we're talking about today, which is a lot of times we sit in professional development sessions and it's nothing like what we want to do for our kids, right? We're always telling our teachers, to personalize professional development, to make it, anytime, any place, to make it differentiated for our different learners. We want our professional development for teachers to be just like what we expect for our kids. So, last year we came to this conference and we learned about badging in Canvas. And again, we've been implementing Canvas for the last couple of years in our district. We started our high school, we moved to our middle school, and now we're moving down to our elementary. So it's kind of been a 3-year process. But for a lot of teachers, they need to see it before they can actually do it. We need to model for them how they can use Canvas with their students. So we were always looking for ways to try to engage our teachers in using Canvas with professional development, because if we can get our administrators, our district leaders to use Canvas with our teachers, they can experience it as students, and then they can start to kind of see how they can use it with their students. So that was a big goal for ours. And like I said, last year we came to Instructure Con and we learned about badging in Canvas. And we've attended some other things. We actually took an online course through the Canvas network. I'll get a plug-in for that on badging. So some of the things you're going to see in here today came from that and what we learned through that online course through the Canvas network on badging. And then other things that we kind of pulled together from different presentations and things that we've seen, we kind of put it together, and we're just kind of going to tell our story about what we did from last summer throughout the course of this year with badging in Canvas. And again, we wanted to be able to do these things with our learners. We wanted, to have that virtual professional development experience for our teachers. We wanted it to be differentiated. We don't want a one-size-fits-all for our teachers. We want it to be anytime, anywhere that they could do at home, just like with our learners, and we want it to be personalized. So that's kind of where we were coming from. Just want to share a little bit about what we've tried to do in the past with virtual professional development in our district. Back to our Moodle days before Canvas, we were always trying to get our teachers into our learning management system to try and engage with the content we put in there. And we felt like we always created good content for our teachers, but it was just trying to get them in there and trying to get them engaged. Engagement was probably a big problem. We didn't really have a good way to measure how much, what was happening with the virtual professional development that we did. It wasn't always relevant, and a lot of teachers kind of saw it as another thing. When they heard us from the technology integration folks or the instructional technology folks telling teachers, hey, you should try this, hey, check out what we created in learning management system, it was always hard to get teachers to buy into it. It was always kind of one more thing. If your district's anything like ours, we have many, we're juggling many balls at a time, and we have a lot of things going on with different initiatives. So trying to get people to learn Canvas and get into our learning management system is, again, a lot of people saw it as one more thing. So we thought, let's look at what the research says. So, looking at what research says about changing practice in schools, we know that our teachers have to have at least 14 hours of professional development for it to be able to change their practice in the classroom. So we know that, and we again, we have to create time. We don't have a lot of time for professional development. And we know that it needs to be differentiated. We need to model for educators what we want our students to be able to experience. And adult learners, they want choice when it comes to their learning. They don't want, us telling them what they have to do. They want to have choice in their learning. So with those things in mind, we looked at our data. We collect data on professional development in our district, and this is what our data said. You can see that red bar there. I know it's kind of blurry to see, but it's 1 to 8 hours. That's the amount of time that our teachers are telling us that they've spent on professional development in our district related to technology. So looking at that, what the research says is that our teachers need at least 14 hours of quality professional development for it to change their practice in the classroom. And then looking at our data and the fact that we're not there, and also looking at our past results, the fact that we had a lot of trouble engaging learners in virtual professional development, we knew we had to do something different. So that's why we started researching gaming and badging and things like that. So that's kind of where we got to, well, let's create a challenge. A little bit about our district. We have 10,000 students, 10 different buildings. So really what we just tried to do is figure out, how can we create a game about, around professional development. And, I was at ISTE a couple years ago when I heard Jane McGonigal talk about gaming and how gaming just really engages learners, and it's just something that is part of human nature, the fact that we want to compete and challenge ourselves. So again, kind of putting all those things together, we decided to inject gamification into our professional development. And we were going to do that by adding some of these elements. These are some of the elements of gaming that we wanted to add to our professional development that we do through instructional technology. And again, we did it through badges, and we'll show you how to create badges in Canvas. It's really easy. And we wanted to make it a quest, make it a challenge. We didn't really do a whole lot with leveling, but if that's another element. But we certainly wanted to be about mastery. We wanted teachers to master the content that we put into Canvas. And then once they did that, we rewarded them with a badge. And we certainly wanted them to have choice. We gave them a menu, a variety of options, and let them choose what badges they earned. So we thought that was really important to give our learners that choice. We wanted it to be collaborative. We want our learners to be able to work with other teachers in their building and share what they're learning with others. So we encourage them to do that through the challenge. And we'll show you our course and show you some of the other things that we did here in a minute. And extra points. And again, we wanted to make it about a competition because we know that our leaders and our teachers are competitive and they want their building to be the best. So that's why we made it into a competition amongst our buildings. So how did we get started? The first thing we did, and these are kind of the steps that we followed in creating our challenge and our badging. We first wrote out, what are the objectives that we want our teachers to achieve. We storyboarded it and we kind of planned out all the different badges and the challenges and how they were going to win the game. And then we went into Canvas and we developed our modules. We went through, once we had those objectives and we laid out each module, and obviously we tied it to things that we're doing in our district. We're doing a lot with understanding by design, depth of knowledge, certain other things that we'll show you here in a minute. So we aligned those things with our modules that we created in Canvas. And again, we tried to take all the things that our buildings were doing and just inject technology into it and show teachers ways that they could use technology to do the same things that they're doing in their buildings. So we designed those modules. We decided how we were going to assess mastery, and basically we did that through assignments. And we'll show you that in the course. But to earn the badge, they had to show that they had mastered the content that was in the course. And then we picked teams, and for us, the teams were our buildings. We had 10 buildings. Obviously, they have different populations of teachers, so we kind of created a point system based on the number of teachers in each building. And then we awarded points for the number of badges that teachers earned. And we created kind of just a simple website that was just kind of like a scoreboard or a leaderboard where people could see where their building was in reference to others. And then we created our badges and just shared it with our community and showed them, earn these badges, earn points for your building, and at the end of the year, you'll earn a major award. You'll kind of see how we use that too. We kind of just called it a major. We weren't really sure what we were going to give the building, that won, because we don't have a lot of money for stuff like that. So we just called it a major award and just went with that. And we'll talk about what we did. It seemed to work. And again, just a little bit about badges. We researched and found out about Mozilla Open Badges. That's the digital badging platform that we encourage our teachers to set up an account in. Because what you can do with Mozilla Badges, basically you can log in, and we're a Google Apps district, so they could log in with Google right into Mozilla Open Badges. And then once we awarded them a badge, they could put their digital badge into Mozilla and keep it in their backpack. So we designed a series of digital badges, basically awarding them, showing that they mastered the content and the different modules that we put into Canvas. And again, a backpack, if you're not familiar with that concept through Mozilla, is basically just, I'll show you a little bit more here. This is kind of what the badge looks like and the different components of a badge. This is a badge that's issued through a credit trust, but the badges we issued were just ones that we made, and there's a really nice tool in Canvas for creating badges that we'll show you here in a minute. But we just named our badges, put our institutional name on there, put what they did to achieve it. We just kind of filled out the different things that you need here to push it into Mozilla. We found some graphics. We found some Creative Commons imaging, or we drew a badge. We'll show you how to do that. And then we put those into Canva-Badges and awarded them after our learners achieved mastery for the different models that we had.
Yeah, that's me. All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was really short. So the Canvas badges are totally transferable into Mozilla?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really cool.
All right. So something that kind of set this apart a little bit is, yes, we had the digital backpacks, but a lot of our teachers don't really understand what all that backpack in the digital world means. So we also created physical backpacks, and we'll show you a picture at the end. It is literally a yellow piece of construction paper with a hand-drawn backpack on it. And then we bought 1 by 1 inch sheets of stickers that we could print out the pictures of the backpacks, and I put those on their door. So as they earned a backpack, they got their first sticker, and I went around, and I just thought this would be a fun way to spark conversation. But what ended up happening, one, it modeled for their students lifelong learning. Their students were asking, what is that? What did you do? Second, I was putting backpacks on the doors, and there were a group of teachers standing in the hallway. And one teacher realized he was the only freshman algebra teacher that didn't have a backpack. Created that little competition within their own PLC. And so he got on and started learning, and just that encouragement. So in the digital world, you may or may not know what somebody else has done, but in that physical world, it was pretty powerful. And it even got a little tiring there at the end when teachers would email me, I don't have my sticker for such and such. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll get it up there tomorrow.
Yeah, the sticker idea, the sticker and the physical badges are probably more important than the digital badges, because teachers earn a digital badge. I mean, we've all got those high flyers that will earn those digital badges and put them in their backpack and share it on social media. But it's the people that we really want to get to are the people that really aren't engaged in social media and aren't engaged in those spaces. So by putting that physical badge outside their door and their peers can see that, it really amped up the competition. And again, it's all about the gamification. And my neighbor got this badge, and my administrator's walking around, and he sees that I'm doing this professional development, this informal professional development on my own. It just creates that competition, which was great.
Yep. So when you're designing the badge, these are some of the things that you need to think about, and these are things that we learned from the MOOC that we did through the canvas.net. And so just kind of think about these as a team. There's a team of 3 of us, so Andy, myself, and one other instructional coach created all of the modules and the badges. And our badges looked like this. Now, if you see here, all of these on the left, and he told me I can't walk over there, but these are just images that we found online, Creative Commons. But the one that says Canvas 101 in the Design Matters, so the image that's in there, that's our mascot, the Millers. Long story, if you want to learn about that later. But so those are actually ones that I created right in Canva-Badges. So, and we'll show you a video here next that takes you step by step through that. The reason I like the Canva-Badges, other than there was another one, the one we learned about last year, and I started that one, but I had to create an account, and then they had to get approved by the company. And I get why they want it to be really legitimate, and they were trying to make sure that everything is approved and it's not just silly stuff. And I think that's important in some respects. But in our situation, we just wanted to get it done. We wanted to be able to push this out. So I didn't feel like I needed the approval of some outside company to know whether or not our badges were sufficient. They were sufficient for our school and our district, and so that's why we went with them.
Can you go back one slide?
Yeah. And then here's a quick little video. there we go.
Yeah.
On creating
So I'm going to
Canva
walk
badges.
through really quick how you can set up a badge inside of your
don't know how to
course.
make
This is just an LTI in
First things
Canvas.
first, you're going to want to go to the website, Canva-Badges.herokuapp.com. This is what it looks like. It's so beautiful. In order to get a credential, you're going to need to log in using Twitter. Once
This
you
is
do
all
that,
being
you'll
recorded
see this
too, guys.
page, which has a bunch of instructions on it. The important things that you're going to need right now are the XML link right here and then your key and secret. So what we're going to do, we're going to copy this XML link and we are going to go over to our Canvas course. Go to the settings page under apps. If you click view app configurations, and we're just going to add a new app. So we'll call this Canva-Badges test. Which is where we're going to put let's paste in a URL. And then we're going to need that key and secret that we saw too. So we'll grab the key, stick it there, grab the secret, stick it there, bada bing, bada boom, we are on a roll. Canva-Badges test. Okay, now to add it to our course, badges are added as items in modules. So go to any module that you want inside of Canvas, and let's go ahead and add a resource. So we want an external tool. And we're going to do our Canva-Badges test because that's one we created. And it's going to pop up this little interface to make it easier for you to set up badges. Most likely you won't have any existing badges, so you'll come down here to the bottom and create a new badge. Let's call this the bacon badge. And when you click add badge, the options will get dropped in right here. You click add item, and ta-da, it's right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on the badge. And this badge hasn't been configured yet, so students won't see it. They'll just get a message that says it's not available. But you as the instructor, since you just created the badge, will be able to see all the settings. So let's go through all these settings real quick. Name should be obvious. The icon, you can provide a URL or a data URI here, or you can use the badge designer.
That's what I'm talking about right there that I used for those two icons.
Use the default. Then you go ahead and put in a badge description. And then an explanation of requirements. This is where you say these are the things you need to do in order to earn the badge.
That's it.
Okay.
That's off YouTube.
Yeah, and it's all in the Canvas
If you just go to
LTIs.
YouTube and type in creating a badge and Canva badges, you'll find that YouTube video. That's where I pulled it from.
Yeah.
Is your presentation?
Yeah, we'll put it in
Yes.
the comments.
Yeah, and it's also being recorded right now. So these are some other tools that you can use. And like I said, we kind of researched a lot of them. For us, quick and easy, and right in the course was Canva-Badges, and so that was really good. So let's look at what we did. So we sent out a message at the beginning of the year and said, this is what our concept is. And he's going to take you into the course. So the three of us on the team each chose different topics, and we created our module. And then whatever module we created, that's kind of what we assessed. So we knew the elements that needed to be in that module. And of course it's Canvas, so it's awesome, and it just gives you the notification, hey, you have a new badge to grade. And you go in and you can assess it right then. So this is what the course actually looks like.
So this is kind of our, and then there's the major award. We weren't really sure what that was going to be, so we put the leg lamp in, just to try and be funny.
Yeah.
But again, we just kind of introduced them to, badging, and then we just created a directory for the different badges, just like we showed you on that previous slide. And then we just basically took a picture or a screen capture of each badge and created this little directory. And then when you click on that link, it just takes you to that module. And then once you get into the module, for example, we'll go to the the depth of knowledge badge. And again, we just kept it simple and just gave them a little bit of instruction, gave them a driving question, some learning objectives, what they had to do to complete the badge. And then they just moved through the content. And again, we just kind of chunked it, made it pretty simple, added a little bit of bit of information about the badge or about that topic, a video. Again, a little bit of information. And then as they move through the module, then they would eventually come to an assignment. And the assignment is what they would have to do to earn the badge. And as you know, as an instructor in Canvas, you can see when people submit things. So in this badge, for example, they had to submit, a file upload of, I think what I had them do was they had to take a traditional lesson, and they had to take it up the levels of depth of knowledge. And they had to, kind of increase the rigor in that lesson. And then they had to upload the lesson before and after they had taken it through the depths of knowledge. And then once they did that, and they did that file upload, I could see that they submitted the assignment, and just like any other instructor in Canvas, I would just go in and I would look at their assignment, look at their submission. I can give them feedback in Canvas, whether they did it correctly or not. And if they did it correctly and I felt like they mastered the content in that module, then I would just award them the badge. And then once they get awarded the badge, it shows up for them in Canvas, and they can then export it to their backpack. And then I would just email Christy and say, hey, Christy, this teacher earned the Depth of Knowledge badge, and she would go put the physical badge outside their door.
We also had a spreadsheet, and I'll tweet out the link to the spreadsheet. I used a Google Doc spreadsheet to keep track of all the points and everything.
Is there a rubric for every badge so that
It's possible either that there were questions that they had to answer, or there was a rubric, or they had to, they would have to submit their course information.
And this just gives you kind of an idea of how we structured the modules. This is typical for one of our modules. Like that was the Connected Educator badge, where we wanted them to get, connected in an online space. And you can see we asked them to go to do some stuff on Twitter, to do a blog post. Just do some stuff as a Connected Educator. And then once they showed those artifacts and uploaded them into Canvas, then I would award them the badge. So that's typically how we did the different modules in Canvas.
So if you saw the link on the left side there, it said professional leaderboard, and this was actually just a blog that we have. So we just took a blog page. I actually went to a couple different sessions last year, and there were some really, really techie people that had ways of taking this straight from Canvas and creating this whole leaderboard. I'm not quite that techie, so we used a Google spreadsheet and a blog that we just updated. Yes, your question?
Yeah, quick question. We've found that when we create the Canva-Badges, they're very difficult to go back and edit once they've been created. Do you have a strategy for editing the badge, or do you just...
The image, or like the requirements?
Yes, if you create the images within Canva-Badges, they're difficult to go back and edit.
We experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
I would probably just create a new badge. It's so easy to do. That's probably the best.
Yes. So in our spreadsheet that I'll tweet out the link to the spreadsheet, we have 150 teachers at the high school, but we only have 25 teachers at one of the elementaries. So I went to one of the really, really smart math teachers, and I said, I need this to be fair and make sure, so a teacher at the high school was worth a fifth of a point at the elementary level, but of course I wanted them to be big numbers, so we made them big numbers, but still the same relevance. So that was really exciting, and we had to keep telling people that because our high school is so awesome and killed it anyway, but people thought that it was, well, because you have 150 teachers. Well, no, because we have a very high percentage of our teachers actually completing the badges.
And you can see that first item in there, which is promote this throughout the year. We, with the admins, those admins are all really competitive. So anytime we had an admin meeting, I would try to highlight, hey, by the way, I would try to highlight that the high school is in first place, and kind of just make it like any other competition. And when I sent out emails, I would mention who was in first place, who was in second, who was gaining, who had moved up the leaderboard, just like we do in anything else. So I tried to to play it up with our administrators, and I did the same thing with our teachers. When I would send things out to teachers, I would mention who's in first, who's doing well, who earned this number of badges. So I just tried to promote it throughout the year. And again, we added modules throughout the year because we knew that people had gotten in and completed a lot of those modules. So we tried to keep adding fresh content, throughout the year so people could get back in. But again, I just tried to play off of that competition thing and get our admins, get our teachers in there, and it was really successful.
Yeah. As you can see, every single school had at least one teacher participate. So that was really good. And I think that we can play off that for next year. So how did we do this year? So we what we did as far as those badges were concerned, we determined, do we think that this would take a teacher 1 to 2 hours to complete a badge? Never more than 2 hours for a badge. And so that's what we would actually give them, was a 1 hour professional development or 2 hours of professional development. So that's how we come up with that 163 hours of virtual professional development. With Canvas 101, Design Matters and Connected Educator being the most popular. We did have 75 teachers throughout the district, and one of the things that we do, he showed you the chart earlier from some of our district data, and this last statement goes along with why we're pretty sure that this is why the high school did so well, is because our high school teachers are already the ones that are participating in professional development outside of the school, informally and not school sponsored. So they're already really good at continuing their learning without somebody making them do that. So I think for next year, one of our challenges is how can we get those other schools to encourage their teachers to keep learning outside of the classroom. At the keynote, it was really exciting to see her talking about Twitter, and I had 2 people by me who were like, I don't use Twitter. That's my professional development probably most often. And, so that is definitely, one thing that we probably need to encourage. So what was our major award? So on the last day of our last teacher work day, the high school won, and the high school got a bagel breakfast. Feeding teachers is always a good thing, right? We love to be fed. And these are actually the backpacks that were on their classroom door. Like, that's literally how simple it was. It was not anything. And then you can see here, we actually did give them a leg lamp. And the teacher that's holding the leg lamp, she actually completed the most hours of online professional development. So I asked her to determine where we would put this leg lamp, because I really wanted to go with him in the principal's office, but I wasn't going to force him into it. So I asked her to determine where we were going to put it, and she actually put it on the one of the secretary's desks right in the front of the office. She's like, I want everyone to see this. I want this to be conversation piece throughout the year next year. So that's where it is for now. If you guys would like to connect with us, that's our Twitter handles. And it looks like we have about 3 minutes for questions. There is a mic in the middle of the room that they would like you to use for questions.
And I could say, too, that 163 hours of virtual professional development is probably 162 more than what we did in previous years, because we just didn't have a lot of engagement. And again, just awarding badges and creating that competition, you can see what happened. It was awesome what our teachers did.
Questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have explored Canva-Badges and I work for a university. I just want to get badges for internally inside a course. Is there a way to use Canva-Badges so you don't have to go through all that registration process and it doesn't matter whether it's on?
You can just add it to your course as using the apps. If you go to apps and settings, you can just add Canva-Badges as an app and award badges in your course right there. You can do it individually as an instructor.
The question was, can you do it just within the course without registering it outside? And yes, there's actually something that says, do you want this to be available for your entire district or institution, or do you just want to use it for the course? Yeah, there's a question right in there that says that. Anyone else? Yes?
You say again how you tallied who's getting what? Was it at the time of awarding? Someone was just putting it into a spreadsheet?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's like a
I'll tweet out the spreadsheet. It literally had tabs for each school, names down the side, badges at the top. You put 1 in if they had 1 hour, 2 if they had a 2 hour. It totaled how many hours, did a little bit of math to make it fair. And then the front page was the leaderboard, so it put that number into the front page to tell you who was in first. And I'll tweet out a copy of that so that you guys can copy it and use it for your institution. Wait, there was a question right here.
Yeah, I had a question, how you tied that into Mozilla Backpack.
Canva automatically does that for you.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
Okay.
And when you award the badge, it takes them to
Yes.
their persona, and then they log in, and it pushes it into their persona. And then when they log into Mozilla Open Backpack, it just keeps a record of all the badges that they've earned.
So they need to go to Mozilla and create
Yeah, it'll pop up for them on their first visit. Like when they go to get their first badge, it'll say, you have an account, and then you can connect
In
it.
the course that we created, the first module was a getting started module, and part of that was go to Mozilla and create your account. And since you can log in with Google, it was really simple. They didn't have to do anything. They just click log in with Google, and they have an account. And then once they earn the badge, they just push it to that persona, and then they have all their badges in that spot. It worked really well.
Question in the back.
Are you sharing your modules in the comments so a person could look at them?
Are we sharing our modules in the commons so somebody could look at them?
We will. We have it right now, but we can't.
Yeah.
That'd be great if you guys did.
Sure.